Many thanks for staying with us on Frontline this morning. Now we'll move on to the interview segment of the show where we are going to look at a topic that many people do not want to talk about, or it is going unaddressed, unnoticed, whereas it has a lot of impact on our physical health. Don't forget that we've been saying it often that mental health is as important as our physical health. So on the program this morning, we are looking at emotional exhaustion. At one point or the other, people do experience emotional exhaustion, and you might have misinterpreted it to be something so serious or having a lot of myths around it. And to make us understand this better, on particularly how it can be linked to other mental illnesses or mental issues like anxiety and depression, I have with me in the studio this morning to have a conversation on understanding emotional exhaustion, Mr. Adeniyi Makinde. Mr. Adeniyi Makinde is a psychiatric nurse, and of course, I just got the news this morning that he's a lawyer. It's good to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming. So, emotional exhaustion is something many of us might experience as a non-ending cycle, and we do experience it at one point or the other. So let's have a breakdown of what exactly is emotional exhaustion.
Thank you for the question. Emotional exhaustion is a circumstances or situation where somebody is being overwhelmed as a result of exposure to a lot of stress and challenges. Symptomatically, the individual can now become exhausted and become fatigued because of the stress that's being overwhelmed with that individual, which he or she has control over. But because of circumstances, we find ourselves, we don't know when we're supposed to say no to some of the life challenges or responsibilities placed on us. So when somebody is stressful, then the next thing that can actually happen is burnout, because you have exposed yourself to a lot of uncoordinated challenges. So that is basically what emotional exhaustion is all about.
Okay, now, just like you just said that there is no more smoke without fire, are there some signs or symptoms that one can look out for people who might have come down with emotional exhaustion?
Yeah, there's so many numerous symptoms, but let me just mention a few. You become listless. Listless means you are not able to coordinate your state of emotion. It will affect your physical being. Then because of the stress that you have exposed to, then you become fatigued. That's mean tiredness. It can be emotional fatigue. It can be physical fatigue. There is something we call insomnia in psychiatry. That is lack of sleep. There will be a loss of appetite. It can affect individuals' body homeostasis. That is mean there's going to be disequilibrium in your mental state, in your physical state. In fact, it can even affect your appetite. You won't be able to eat because why? Your state of mind is not settled. And then your social interaction with people will nosedive, will dwell, because you are totally affected because of your cognitive ability that's not properly coordinated. So basically, there will be lack of sleep, insomnia, there will be loss of appetite, your social interaction with people is going to be totally reduced. Then you become lethargic, you become fatigued, that is, you are tired. So that is just some of the symptoms that you can notice with somebody with emotional exhaustion.
Okay. Now, there's been a lot of maybe speculations around that you can only feel burnout maybe after a long day at work, whether maybe domestically or something official. But sometimes, can we say that burnout can go beyond you just being tired as a result of work in the office or at home?
Yeah, basically, burnout is more than that. In psychiatry and then psychology is a very complex issue. Like you just said, burnout is not just about physical ability or physical activities. Emotional exhaustion has relationship between burnout and then emotional exhaustion. Why do I say this? Because when you are emotionally disturbed, it affects your sense of reasoning, your cognitive ability. Then as a result of that, you become fatigued, you become tired, like I said earlier on. And as a result of that, you will not be able to coordinate yourself. Burnout means your mental state has correlation between burnout. You can even have emotional burnout. You know, because you don't have that control over yourself anymore because of your exposure to, I can put in quote, to emotional hazard. As a result of that, you are burned out. Because when you're talking about burnout, the energy within you will determine how far you go physically. If you are emotionally exhausted, it means you won't be able to carry yourself along in terms of performing daily activities. And you know, our going up and down is being controlled by our internal mechanism. Take, for example, we have what they call chemical transmitters in the brain, biologically. We have serotonin, acetylcholine, dopamine, and norepinephrine. When you have the low production of these chemical transmitters, then it's going to affect your emotional ability, your physical ability. So the burnout will now overwhelm you because you are stressed. Then you won't be able to perform what is expected of you. Actually, there's a relationship between emotional burnout, anxiety, and depression.
Okay.
Remember, I said this chemical transmitter, especially the serotonin, which is in our brain. When low production of serotonin in the body mechanism in our brain will lead to fatigue, lethargy, you become inactive. And when you become inactive, it means you won't be able to carry out your daily activity. So the burnout will now set in.
So there is a relationship, a link between burnout or exhaustion and anxiety or depression. Now, when we get to this stage, is it something somebody should be worried about, or it's just being human? That is why we are exhausted, or particularly when it leads to anxiety or when it leads to depression, how serious, how severe it is?
We can't take it with levity. We need to actually look at it that it's a serious issue. And if we feel or concerned about one mental state, it's going to affect all the body mechanism when we overwhelmed. So I'll just give you the psychopathology from the biological mechanism of how this thing happens.
Yes, okay.
But when you have signs, symptoms of depression, you know, like I said, there's a relationship between mental exhaustion, depression, and anxiety. There will be lack of drive. You won't be able to eat. You lack social interaction with people because you are overwhelmed. Actually, depression is a persistent state of pessimism and being sad. There's something around that individual that made him or her to be sad. Then you now look at it. You cannot just say, because I'm depressed, I'm sad, I don't need to look into it. You need to be aware of your mental state and your physical being, because these two things work together. So, which means, in the sense of it, you need help. What do you mean? What do I mean by saying you need help? You need help to actually look for people around. Do you know, talking to people is a form of therapy? That's why if you keep things to yourself without exposing yourself to people around you who can help you, we call it psychotherapy in psychiatry. The word of the mouth is a treatment. You give it to people, tell people will give you advice, and then after that advice has been given, then you may not likely need to look for professionals if need be. And then those ones will give you an idea about how to go about. Then the most important thing, you need to work on yourself. You need to be happy. You need to know when you're supposed to say no. Don't take all the responsibility people give it to you and say you want to do. And why do we find ourselves at that receiving end? Because you, for example, now you are working here. Your organization must have given you a target to be met. Then you should be able to look at yourself. If you know you are going to be overwhelmed, you can become sad, you can become depressed because you are being exhausted emotionally. So what I'm trying to say in the sense is that we should be able to know who we are. When we're supposed to say no to the issue given to us, don't try to be a perfectionist, that you know it all, you can do it all. You should be able to assign responsibilities to people around you, assign them responsibility, oversee what they have done, then where correction needs to be made, you do it. So when you are talking about depression and anxiety, anxiety is that state of apprehension. Now remember, you are given an assignment to be done. If you don't meet up to that assignment, you become apprehensive. Then your body mechanism will now change, and then you become anxious. And because you are anxious, you can be sad. That I couldn't be able to meet up today. What will my boss say? What will my family say? What will my children say? What will society say about me? So don't try to be a yeoman or a young woman to say, I can meet up to all the responsibility given to me within a space of time. If there's need be to postpone work because of your health, because of your mental state, because of your physical ability, so that you will not break down and become exhausted.
Before we move on, let's quickly establish something. Is there any difference between mental exhaustion and emotional exhaustion?
Mental exhaustion is, I can say they are almost, apart from a little thin line difference there. You know, when you're talking about emotional exhaustion, like I said, it's a state of when one's body mechanism or mind or emotion is being overwhelmed. And the symptom can be manifested through physical, through emotional as well too. They will become fatigue. When you are talking about emotional exhaustion, your mental state actually come in there because you are being overwhelmed. Your cognitive sense of reasoning, that is how we relate our mind into our brain to be able to think perfectly, is now being overwhelmed because we are able to find ourselves in a situation that our emotion work along with our mind, work along with our physical being, cannot carry out and carry us into a kind of, what I can say, a productive means. Look at every one of us when we wake up in the morning. Some people can say, you do wake up the right side of the bed or wrong side. So if you wake up from the right side of the bed, it means you are happy. If you wake up from the wrong side of it means you are sad. That sadness is an emotional state. It may be as a sort of emotional exhaustion over what you thought about last night that you woke up with this morning. So when you are talking about mental exhaustion, it means you have subjected yourself into a lot of stress so that you will not now affect your cognitive reasoning. Then your mindset, your physical set, work hand in hand to be able to show that you are happy or you are sad.
Okay, let's talk about the barriers, because it seems a lot of mental issues go unnoticed or unattended to. Why do you think we have barriers around, or let me say barriers stopping people from talking about it, from want to open up what they have been bottling up for long?
Yeah, we can look at it from some perspective. Individual's personality. There's something we call schizoid personality in psychiatry. That is people that has functional disorders of mental disorder, where the brain cells and tissue are intact. But some people with schizoid personality are those ones who keep things to themselves. They don't like opening up to people. And then because they keep things to themselves or kept things to themselves, it's going to affect their total being. It's better for you to be able to open up and tell people, this is what I'm passing through. They will advise you, like I said earlier on. So from personality perspective, people like that are people who do not tell people what they are passing through. Then look at the family conflict. The family we come from. We are being overwhelmed now, but because of a lot of challenges we are facing. In fact, I can say jokingly that the men are the one carrying all the burden of the family.
Women do too.
Women too, okay. Thank God for that. So, because of that challenges we are facing, we are being overwhelmed. Then look at the precipitating factors within our environment, the socio-economic status of people. How many of us can eat 3 meals per day? It's not only in Nigeria, it's all over the world. Economic recession is all over the world. And because of this economic recession, we have been overwhelmed, we have been faced a lot of challenges. So it's going to affect who we are. Then, what about our own projection to the future? What you have in your mind, your dream, your aspiration. So when you are allowed this over-ambition to come into one's life, we need to take things, we need to be patient. You don't need to compare yourself with Mr. A or Mr. B for them to have overtaken you. I read one book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I was this saying there that we are all in this world. We are differently pursuing different goals, which means you're meeting your goals differs from others. So you don't allow over-ambition, and then you allow yourself to be stressed to the extent that's going to affect your mental state.
All right, now I want us to go practical now, because if you are talking about emotional exhaustion, before we go into that, because sometimes we do think that all of these mental issues only affect the adult. Is there anyone alien to emotional exhaustion? Maybe it has age limit.
Even children too, they are exposed to emotional exhaustion. Let me take from the children. We put pressure on our children as parents, which is not supposed to be. A child, a toddler, 5-year or 6-year-old, now attend in primary school or nursery primary school. They will give them a lot of assignment to be done. When assignment is given to them, the parents are under emotional exhaustion. They are under mental exhaustion. Remember, they go to work like to meet the needs of the family. On getting home, the woman will be the one to prepare food. Most of the time, men may be watching TV or watching soccer. Maybe they are members of a particular team. The woman will go up and down. After finishing the preparation of food, then the children need to eat. After eating, they need to do their job. Do you know, because of the exhaustion the children are passing through, some of them will sleep late, and when they wake up in the morning, it depends on where you live. It depends on where their school is located. So you have to tell them, oh yeah, let's get up, prepare, we don't want to get late, because there may be traffic on the road. So the children too are emotionally exhausted. And such child, teachers need to be very, very inquisitive and very observant. During the teaching of the student in the class, some of them may be sleepy, some of them may not listen, some of them may be carried away because they are emotionally exhausted. Now, let's look at that of the adult. The adults are also, we said, emotionally exhausted because of their responsibility, because of what they perform in the society. Please, could you please repeat that question to be able to tackle about the
I was
adult?
asking that emotional exhaustion, is it only peculiar to adults alone? But now you've mentioned that children can also
children can be exhausted.
Can be exhausted.
It's not peculiar to. It's not. There's no either male or female. There's no gender that is not exposed to emotional exhaustion. And let me also tell you, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, you have emotional exhaustion. You have mental exhaustion. People who has money still search for more. People who doesn't have still search for more. No matter how comfortable you are in a particular stage of your life, you are exposed to emotionally and mental exhaustion. You are not immune. You are not exempted from it. It depends on the level you find yourself. Are you getting me? It depends on the level you find yourself. Your level will determine how emotionally exhausted you can be prone to, or how mentally exhausted you can be prone to. So no one is immune, no one is spared of it.
Okay, like somebody just mentioned yesterday when I was preparing for this, that I should ask that if someone is feeling emotionally drained, but they are not sure whether it's just stress or something deeper, what are the steps they should take to better understand what is going on?
No, when somebody is emotionally drained, it means that individual is tilting towards becoming depressive. Depression can set in. So it means, because when you're talking about emotion, our state of emotion determines our drive. It determines our courage. It depends on how we walk. It depends on our social interaction in the society. So when somebody is noticing that, another symptom that individual should not look at is that person eating well. Does he sleep well? Does he have social interaction? Do you know that's becoming emotionally depleted? And then it will affect the total physical appearance of that individual. The mode of dressing will change. And then where you walk, where you live, even in your church, in your mosque, when you notice that people's appearance is dwelling from what you knew them of before, it means their internal mechanism, their emotion is being touched. So, and that, when you notice those symptoms that you are not being who you were before, it means you are becoming sad, you're becoming depressive. And when there's persistent in that kind of mood change, that individual is tilting towards becoming a depressive individual. So, like I said, one should be able to look for who to be able to give you advice. Because every one of us, there's something they call defense mechanism in psychiatry. There's one that we call rationalization. This morning, you must have rationalized, maybe in your financial status, in your family status, in your dream, in your aspiration. And that's why you now bring religion in. It's going to be well. It is well in Jesus' name. Why are you saying that one? You are rationalizing to be able to keep your mental state intact. Because not everything you are looking for, you can get it at a particular point in time. So you postpone some dreams, some aspiration, where you maintain your mental stability. So individuals who probably notice that is having that kind of persistent state of mind should look out for symptoms of depression, because it's better for depression to be properly tackled so that that individual will not be able to now think about it. You might have heard of some people committed suicide in society. They are emotionally exhausted. They have no one to talk to. They have no one to help them. And that's why we should be able to create happiness wherever we are, in our place of work, where we live, on the street. We should project into the future. Like Christian used to say, it is well with our soul. So that is what I want to say about that.
All right, sir. Before we talk about the recovery step, because sometimes when you're exhausted emotionally, different people have different coping mechanism to snap out of that situation. Some might be, they feel like, I just want to weep. The moment I weep, I will be fine. And you'll be coming to ask yourself, is this actually normal for someone to just break down into tears and start weeping just because you want to snap out of your emotional exhaustion? But what are those practical steps, or let me say some coping mechanisms that you think people that are emotionally exhausted can imbibe?
You know, let me just say jokingly, when somebody cries, it's a kind of opportunity to let the body out of your body. So weeping or crying has no negative impact on people. In fact, you are trying to exalt that thing that serves as a burden in you. So you cry. In fact, your eyes will going to shine very well. There's some chemical chemical component of tears is called lysosom, which will going to clear your eyes. So when you are talking about individual who actually have those symptoms of exhaustion, there are issues that need to be looked into, like what are you going to do to be able to not allow yourself to be tilted towards that depressive episode. You are talking about remedy, right?
Yeah.
What are those things to guide about coping mechanism?
Yes.
Your coping mechanism, it depends on your area of interest. Are you a sport person? Do you like watching sport? Yeah, you must engage in those activities as a form of diversional therapy. You are diverting your mind away from things that can create a body of emotional exhaustion to you, mental exhaustion that become depressive. So then, do you listen to music? What kind of music do you like to listen to? Do you watch film? All those things are things that you need to do. You also need to actually look at what we call diversional therapy of interacting with people. Your social interaction with people is very, very important. Don't keep things to yourself, like I said earlier on, because those are the things that will help you to be able to relieve the burden from your head. So those things are very, very important. Then, are you religious? If you are religious, everything is unto God. Being religious does not mean you cannot go keep to yourself. Take everything unto God from religious perspective. Go to church. Listen to the sermon there. You can even play it back when you get home. Then at the same time, you should also try as much as possible to be able to engage in activities within your community. When you actively engage in activities, it helps you to be able to divert your mind away from that thing that may create some challenges and problems for you, in order for you not to be exposed to mental exhaustion. So diversional therapy is very important. Reading newspapers, reading magazines, watching films. Even if you like going to parties, go. Enjoy yourself. It's a form of diversional therapy. It's a process of... No, it depends on how you're going to engage yourself there. It's a form of socialization. So socialization process is very, very important because, like I said, if you are someone who keeps things to yourself and you don't let things out, that thing become a burden on you. And when the thing wants to explode, it will be so devastating to the extent that you now become depressive. So it's better to manage it at that time by looking for those remedies as a diversional therapy. Some people like traveling, but nowadays economic situation reduce somebody movement. But at the same time, you can go visiting people. When you don't keep to yourself, visiting people, socialize with them, interact with them, discuss with them. Those are the remedies. Then eat well. Eat well and eat right. Take plenty of water. When you are eating, look at the balanced diet. No matter how bad the economy is, you can still eat balanced diet. It depends on how do you go about it. Take vegetables, take fruits, then please sleep well. Minimum between 6 to 8 hours sleep is very important. When you sleep, you are re-energizing your system. You become more active when you wake up in the morning to perform the day kind of activities.
Okay, so those are the recovery steps, if I may ask, or there are other therapeutic or medical recovery steps for people who are emotionally exhausted?
Then you need to visit professionals, like psychiatrists, like psychiatric nurses, clinical psychologists, who will be able to tell you what exactly is needed in terms of what to do. If there's need for you to take drugs, they will give you drugs. If there's no need to drugs, they will not give you drugs. They can do what they call psychotherapy, like I said, word of the mouth, to tell you what and what to do, what and what to avoid. So that is what that is it's all about in terms of professional point of view.
Okay, now, I just jokingly I was talking about somebody that would just break down into tears just because they want to feel relief. And some people, it might be, let me just sleep. Like, sometimes for women, when we get home after the long day at work, you still want to do some domestic stuff at home, and the children will be there disturbing you, mommy this, mommy that. And at that point, you cannot even open your mouth to say a word. You are so exhausted and all. In such scenario, as in, what would you prescribe? As in, what would be your word of advice for women? Because we have quite a number of them going through a lot.
I think the most important thing is that let's look at it from biblical perspective. When you're talking about issue of marriage, that when two, they become one. When there's this relationship between husband and wife, they become one. Our men should try as much as possible to be helpful. At least we help each other. We lean on each other when we have some challenges. We shouldn't leave the household chores to the women alone. Now, this kind of African belief or perception that the women must do it all. Nothing stopping you to assist your wife in the kitchen. Nothing stopping you to assist your wife to clean. When she's preparing food, don't just be the king and then you sit down after and providing all the money. The situation on ground now in Nigeria and the world, can we say men provide the needs of the family alone? It is both a husband and wife that provide for the need of family. Because if you love your wife, you should be able to assist your wife to be able to carry some household chores. Don't listen to societal perception and ideas or believe that women alone must face all the rot in the house. You should be able to assist your wife to perform that responsibility. Everybody needs rest. Everybody needs to put our body in the state of rest in order for us to be real energized. Lack of sleep creates a lot of problems for cognitive reasoning and mental state. You see some people don't sleep well. When they come to the office, they won't be able to perform their professional responsibility appropriately. So which means sleep is very important. When that woman is exhausted, you cannot enjoy the woman as a husband. The children will not be able to enjoy their mother as their mother. So what you need to do is that take up that responsibility. When you notice that your wife is exhausted physically, emotionally, mentally, take the children away from her. Mommy is sleeping. Mommy needs rest. Let's give her this. Then take them away, diverting their perception and energy and kind of activity into another one so that the mother can be able to rest. And then I want to also advise the women, please, when we notice you are exhausted, try to say no. Don't try to
do everything.
Yeah, you can't do everything. Don't try to be a perfectionist. A perfectionist from minor mental disorder, we call it obsessional compulsive neurosis. When you become so obsessed that I am the only one to do it, either in the office, like I said earlier on, either in your place of worship, either in your home, assign responsibilities for people to be able to carry out those tasks. Then you oversee it at the end of the day.
Yes, I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Deni Makinde for this insightful time as we look at emotional exhaustion on Frontline this morning. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So from everything we have said, it is obvious that emotional exhaustion is a serious issue that actually deserves our attention, and recognizing it earlier can make a huge difference in managing our mental health. So if you know someone you know or you yourself is experiencing emotional exhaustion, please, just like he said, speak out. We are in a part of the world where we bottle up a lot, but it's not healthy for us, it's not healthy for our mental health. So when you are exhausted emotionally, you need someone to talk to, a counselor, a professional. to talk to get you out of that situation. Once again, I want to say big thank you to Mr. Adeni Makinde, a psychiatric nurse, for this time on the show this morning. We'll take a break now for sport update with Adibola Adeleke. Do stay with us.